There's no dramatization here. This is a statement of fact. We are in a moment in history where the human psyche has been hijacked. Not by weapons or violence, but by seduction. Seduction of distraction, addiction, and a flood of meaningless content that clogs the mind like digital sewage. This isn't just a cultural hiccup, it's a collapse in disguise. We're witnessing the glorification of shallowness, while depth is buried beneath endless noise. The truth, once discovered through thought, now emerges filtered through popularity scores and algorithmic illusions. Thought has become a lost art. People don't reflect anymore. They scroll. They don't experience. They binge. They are plugged into everything and everyone, yet they are strangers to themselves. The mind, once the most sophisticated tool in human evolution, is in shambles, reduced to a sponge absorbing triviality. And the tragedy is not only in the fall, but in how welcomed it is. Many wear their cognitive erosion as a badge of modern identity. They confuse collapse with freedom. They mistake chaos for expression. This isn't a temporary glitch. It's a spiritual decay dressed up as liberation. We are knee-deep in a swamp where filth is praised and decay is applauded. If you don't catch it now, you might drown in it before you even realize you're sinking. What's happening isn't printed in headlines. It's not a war with bombs, but an infection of thought spreading invisibly, rotting everything from the inside. We've bred a generation that's been trained to respond, not to contemplate. Everyone is fast, everything is instant, yet beneath all this speed is hollowness. Brains on overdrive, but barren of understanding. Individuals spend their lives glued to glowing rectangles, feeding off mockery, celebrating absurdity, idolizing the foolish. And they do it with pride. What once was considered noise pollution is now the national anthem of an entire generation. It's not chaos from outside, it's corrosion from within. The soul, lulled into numbness by endless stimulation, is being trained to sleepwalk through life. The ability to ponder is now a rare trait. No one sits still to understand anymore. Depth has become synonymous with boredom. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Reflection is considered outdated, reserved for old minds. If a thought requires patience or effort, it's rejected outright. Viral fame isn't about meaning. It's about mockery. What spreads fastest isn't wisdom. It's degradation, and the worst part is people love it. They line up for it. They swallow their own spiritual garbage with a grin. We've raised an army of apathetic minds. The mantra is, it's just a post, it's just a meme, it's just for laughs. But those seemingly harmless moments are stitching the very fabric of a cultural identity, one that is rotten at its core. A culture that promotes ignorance, celebrates surface-level noise, and trains individuals to avoid depth at all costs. And in this artificial environment, anyone who tries to rise above it is mocked, labeled, or pushed aside. Yes, some still resist. Scattered across this madness, there are those who see clearly. Quiet outliers watching the collective decay unfold. They are not many, but they are there. Those who still read, who still listen, who still feel uncomfortable in this circus of idiocy. They don't scream, they don't dance for likes, they reflect, and that makes them dangerous. In a world that rewards the shallow, clarity is subversion. Right now we are spectators to the fall of intellect, the erosion of inner awareness, the ascension of idiocy wrapped in spectacle. The masses are not just asleep, they're proud of their sleep. And when someone stands up to challenge the circus, they're greeted not with curiosity, but with laughter, scorn, mockery. This isn't just ignorance, it's a cult of unawareness. The collapse of the human soul, televised and sponsored. But if you feel something churning inside as you hear this, if your spirit recoils at this engineered stupidity, You are not broken, you are awake. And that means something, because in this global compost heap of meaninglessness, to think, to feel, to resist is rebellion. This generation doesn't lack access to knowledge, it drowns in it. But knowledge is not wisdom, and information is not insight. Never before have we had so much noise and so little understanding, so many messages but no meaning, so much talk but no communication. Nietzsche once said, madness was rare in individuals but common in crowds. What we see today is the truth in action. What was once an anomaly is now a way of life. Delusion has become fashion. Crudeness is marketed as being bold. Being uninformed is branded as authenticity. People binge nonsense and call it art. But this isn't art, it's training. Training in obedience, in mediocrity, in mental laziness. And as intelligence shrivels, anyone who dares to think is branded as arrogant, disconnected, cold. Reflection isn't welcomed because it requires work, something this culture is allergic to. Pausing, breathing, questioning, all of it has become subversive in a world built for endless stimulation. South Korean philosopher Byung-Chul Han wrote that overstimulation and toxic positivity are symptoms of a dying soul. Anxiety, burnout, and apathy aren't personal issues anymore. They are signs of a system devouring itself. This is a society not exhausted from labor, but from constantly running away from its own reflection. And the saddest part? Most don't notice. They're too preoccupied with loops of distraction, one notification at a time. The minds of today are fried, not from thinking, but from escaping thought. They memorize slogans, echo sound bites, and weaponize opinions they don't even understand. Everyone's an expert, yet no one can hold a single coherent thought without rage or ridicule. As Schopenhauer warned, the survival of civilization depends on its capacity for discernment. If that's true, we are watching civilization teeter on the edge of self-destruction. But it's not the kind of slavery you can see. It's soft, comfortable, candy-coated. It comes with playlists, dopamine hits, and algorithmic applause. It teaches you not to ask questions, not to challenge anything, not to grow. Be offended by everything, but never look in the mirror. Demand respect, but never work to be respectable. Shout for attention, but never offer substance. That is the world we now inhabit. As sociologist Zygmunt Bauman put it, we live in liquid times. Nothing is built to last. Not thoughts, not principles, not even identities. Everything is fleeting, replaceable, disposable, including our sense of self. But here and there, in the shadows of noise, there are still people who resist the tide. They don't fit in. They don't pretend to. They value solitude over spectacle, substance over show. They are not popular. They are not trendy, but they are vital. These thinkers, feelers, and quiet rebels are the last embers of clarity in a smog-choked world. If you've ever felt alien in this digital madness, that's why. You see what others refuse to see. You hear the hollowness in the laughter. You feel the weight of meaninglessness. And that discomfort you carry, it's not a flaw. It's proof you're still human. You're not satisfied with numbness. You want to feel again. You want to make sense of the chaos, even if it's just a little. You're searching not for attention, but for truth. And that sets you apart. That makes you one of the rare ones. While the rest of the world performs, you observe. While others chase validation, you chase something deeper. You wonder what happened when the world became so vacant, so theatrical, so absurd. You sit quietly in a storm of noise, trying to make sense of the nonsense. And that effort, that silence, is sacred. And I want to tell you something important. You're not alone, even if it feels like it. Even if the world tries to shout you down. There are others like you, scattered, quiet, steady. People who haven't sold their minds for clicks, who still believe thought matters, who carry integrity in a world obsessed with performance. Real change has never come from crowds. Revolutions are always born from the conscious few, people who reject easy answers, people who choose awareness over anesthesia. If you're still listening to this, it means you belong to that group. That discomfort inside you, that ache for more, is a gift. It means you haven't gone numb. And in this age, that is rare courage. You pause in a world that demands haste. You reflect when others distract. You search for meaning when everything screams for your attention. That makes you different. That difference matters. But awareness is only the beginning. Now it's about choice, every day, not once, over and over. To protect your mind, to guard your spirit, to think even when it's unpopular, to feel when it's easier to scroll. Because the chaos will come for you. It will lure you with ease, with trends, with fame. But you are not the mob. You are awake. And your awareness cannot be outsourced. I could easily switch paths. I could serve you hollow encouragements, coat everything in positivity, sell you pretty lies that soothe but never challenge. The audience would grow faster. The numbers would soar. The sponsors would love it. I could water it all down, make it catchy, shiny, forgettable. But I won't, because I can't. Because doing that would mean joining the parade of pretense that I came here to question. And once you see clearly, you can't unsee. Once you understand the cost of silence, pretending becomes its own betrayal. That's why I speak this way. That's why I craft each word like a lantern. Because someone out there is still stumbling in the dark. Someone like you. Someone who's tired of dancing in a world on fire. Someone who senses that all this artificial sweetness is making people spiritually sick. I'm not talking to everyone. I'm speaking directly to those few who still hunger for something real, even when it tastes bitter. And of course, there will always be those who misunderstand this, who drop into the comments waving sarcasm like a flag, accusing me of hypocrisy. You're on this platform too, they say. You use the same tech you criticize. As if standing in a burning house to warn others makes you responsible for lighting the match. As if trying to reach people where they already are somehow disqualifies the message. No, I'm not outside the system. I'm inside it, fighting from within it. I'm here because this is where the lost are wandering. This is where the ears are plugged and the eyes are fogged. And if even one person hears this and realizes they're slowly turning into a shell of themselves, then it's worth it. If just one mind catches fire again, then all the hours spent scripting, editing, recording, they're not in vain. To those who rush in with irony, I ask, what are you doing for the world you laugh at? Besides contributing to its noise, what are you building? Who are you helping? Or are you just another echo bouncing off the hollow walls of digital detachment? The truth is, most people don't want awakening. They want escape. They're not looking for perspective, they're looking for amusement. Their appetite for truth only extends to the first discomfort. So they mock what confronts them. They celebrate the empty and scorn the sincere. That's why when someone dares to think, to push deeper, to question the circus, they're branded as bitter, angry, or out of touch. But I'm not here for approval. I'm not here to make people feel comfortable in their own slow death. I'm here because someone has to say it. Someone has to be the mirror, even if the reflection is ugly. And if you're still here, really here, then you already know how much it hurts to be awake among sleepwalkers. You've seen the way meaning evaporates in conversations that never touch the soul. You've felt the loneliness of being someone who still cares about integrity in a world chasing applause. You've looked around and wondered if sanity is now the exception, not the rule. You're not the only one. It feels that way sometimes because clarity isolates. When you refuse to play dumb, the crowd thins. When you refuse to follow blindly, the noise turns on you. But don't confuse loneliness with failure. The truth is always first met with silence. History remembers the rebels, but it forgets how long they stood alone before anyone listened. And that's what you are. Rebellious in your stillness, radical in your honesty. There's a storm outside, one that doesn't roar with thunder, but with distractions. One that doesn't destroy buildings, but hollows out hearts. You can feel it every time you open your feed and see another person smiling through a filtered facade, another trend that demands you trade your soul for relevance. But you don't give in. You pause. You resist the pull. You try to remember what it feels like to be real. That's your power. In a time when everyone is selling themselves, you're trying to find yourself. While the world chases the next hit of digital sugar, you sit with the bitterness of reality. And yes, it's hard. It's exhausting to care in a world built for indifference. But that exhaustion isn't weakness. It's evidence that you're still alive inside. This isn't about moral superiority. It's about survival, spiritual survival. Because every time you choose reflection over reaction, presence over performance, thought over trend, you're preserving something sacred. You're holding a line the world has abandoned. You're saying, I will not become noise. I will not be programmed. I will not forget who I am. That doesn't make you strange. It makes you strong. It makes you the start of something new. Every revolution of the mind begins with someone who refused to be molded. You don't need a crowd. You don't need permission. All you need is that spark, that internal refusal to sync with the rest. And that's already burning inside you. You might not see the full path yet. That's okay. Awareness is the beginning. The journey isn't about instant transformation. It's about choosing, again and again, to walk in a direction most people fear. Away from numbness, away from synthetic joy, towards something rooted, towards something honest, toward truth, however painful. Every day you will be tempted to rejoin the circus, to blend in, to laugh at what you know is poison. But you don't have to. You can be the quiet observer, the thinker in the crowd, the soul that doesn't sell itself for convenience. You can study while others scroll. You can speak with intention while others echo nonsense. You can be still while the rest perform. Because the world doesn't need more performers. It needs more witnesses, more minds who aren't afraid to feel discomfort, more hearts that choose integrity over attention. That's how the tide turns, not through popularity, but through persistence. You don't have to rescue everyone. Just don't lose yourself. And by staying true, you'll do more good than any viral sensation ever could. Every time you resist conformity, you light a torch for someone else who thought they were alone in their discontent. Every time you question what everyone else accepts, you open a door for someone else's awakening. That's what matters. Not likes, not followers, but fire, inner fire. So no, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to tell the truth, however unpolished. And if this feels harsh, it's because the world has grown too comfortable with softness that kills slowly. It's time to feel something again, even if it stings, even if it cracks the illusion. Because behind that pain is the start of freedom. And maybe, just maybe, you needed to hear this, not because it flatters you, but because it challenges you to look deeper, to be honest with yourself, to stop pretending that everything is fine when you know in your bones that something is deeply broken. Not just out there, but in here, in how we live, in how we think, in what we chase. You know it. That's why you're still here. Because a part of you refuses to lie to yourself any longer. A part of you still remembers what it's like to wonder, to search, to feel. And that part, it's precious. It's rare. It's yours to protect. Keep reading, keep questioning, keep choosing silence over noise when needed. Let the world call you weird, distant, intense. Let them laugh. It means you're not one of them. It means you still belong to yourself. And in an era of mass imitation, self-possession is power. The truth is, you are already doing something extraordinary. You are thinking in a time designed to prevent it. You are waking up when everything begs you to stay asleep. You are standing still in a world spinning for no reason. And that is enough. That is everything. Even if you feel small, your clarity echoes. Even if you feel outnumbered, your presence changes the air around you. Even if you feel unseen, your integrity speaks louder than performance ever could. So keep going. Keep choosing discomfort over convenience. Keep speaking with soul, not noise. You are not entertainment. You are not a product. You are not here to impress. You are here to awaken. And the more you stay rooted in that, the more light you carry in a world that's dimming by the hour. This channel, this voice, this message, it's for you, not for the masses, not for metrics, for the few who still feel the itch of truth beneath the skin, for the ones who can't look away anymore, for those who still know what it means to care. You are why I do this. Not because it's easy, not because it's popular, but because someone needs to speak while the rest perform. Someone needs to whisper when the world is screaming. Someone needs to hold space for what matters before it disappears entirely. So thank you. Not for agreeing, not for watching, but for being present, for thinking, for feeling, for not letting the rot consume you. Thank you for remembering that your mind is still yours, your soul is still yours. Your voice, your silence, your pain, your vision, all still yours. Let others sleep. Let them dance in the ruins, but you stay awake. You carry the fire. And that fire might be the only thing left that can still light the way. See you next time.